The number of people classified as food insecure in the Greater Horn of Africa stood at 20.4 million in February this year, 11% more than the numbers recorded in December 2015. And while this growth can be attributed to drought in some regions such as Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania and Ethiopia, conflict played a part.
Armed conflicts in Africa decreased by 15% in the last 3 years. But this overall trend has not been even across all the regions. And we can see that hunger and food security problems concentrate on those countries that remain under conflict.
30 years ago, Somalia was able to grow more than twice the food it grows today.
The 8 member countries that make up the Ticad, with a population of 250 million, are said to be the recipients of 20% of the world's total food aid due to droughts and conflict.
Those of you who've been following the situation in South Sudan, they are now very food insecure, extremely food insecure. All the gains they had made over the last 4 years have been eroded, all because of conflict. Those who followed the situation in Kenya during the post-election violence, 2007-2008, will remember the prices of food almost doubled.
The FAO Peace and Food Security Report shows that there is a correlation between violence and hunger, with the index going as high as 63% in Angola, 55.6% in Rwanda, and 42.8% in Sierra Leone. The report also indicates that in the late 20th century, the impact of civil war on hunger resulted in losses in food energy, with Somalia experiencing the greatest impact with a per capita energy loss of 438,000 calories. Uganda lost the least with 56,000 calories.
About 20% of our population is displaced or refugee.
FAO argues that while conflict results in food insecurity can also result in conflict. Factors such as sudden increases in food prices have been known to cause strife in some parts of the world. And once conflict sets in, then the amount of food available drastically reduces and people's access to food is cut off.
Meeting the food needs during time of conflict is essential to save lives, particularly for women, children, and other vulnerable groups.
The challenge that many of these countries in conflict face is that sustaining the peace after the conflict is quite a big problem, and in fact nearly 40% of them are known to relapse within a 10-year period. And what is even more worrying is that the youth are almost always the disruptors of peace.
Even if you are able to create the conditions for sustaining peace, even if you keep things political, if you don't recognize that food security, the availability of good square meals for everybody every day, is in and of itself a driver of insecurity. If you don't recognize that, then you set yourself up for disruptions of peace.
As a solution, it has been argued that implementing well-timed interventions that improve food security builds the resilience of the affected community to conflict because it helps to cope and recover. But to do this, women and youth must be included. There is, however, limited knowledge about the role of food security in preventing and/or mitigating conflict, but some literature suggests that ensuring food security is likely to weaken some of the drivers of conflict. Zeynab Wandati, NTV.